Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Shooting the Shit with me, Lee, the Dorset Spur. Um, Along with me today, we have Dino. Hello, Dino. How's it going, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good, buddy. You?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. And of course, we also have with us young Mason. All right, Mason?
All good here. All good here. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. I've calmed down a little bit. I've calmed down a little bit. You have to take the rough with the smooth, as they say.
Yeah.
Of course, Sweary Alex isn't with us today. Unfortunately, he's under the thumb. His missus has said, "You've got to come and pick me up," and so he bowed on us. So we're gonna just have to put up with the three of us in this episode. But as I say, thanks very much for those that have been watching recently. The numbers are going up, so we do seem to be getting a few more people coming along and hopefully enjoying what we're talking about. So, of course, today we're going to be talking about the previous week. Some good, some bad. So we'll start off. We'll start off, of course, by talking about the game against Brighton. And I'm going to start off with you, Mason, just because I wanted to talk about the starting 11. So I'll stick the starting 11 up there. This was our starting 11 for the match against Brighton. In my mind, I'm thinking that's probably the strongest we could get out today. Mason, what did you think when you saw the team sheet?
No, I think seeing that team sheet, I don't think it's our strongest. I just because of that one left wing. Who's that plays on the left? Who plays there? I'll tell you what, he hasn't been on it
What's
for
the
the
matter
past
with
four.
you?
No, he's legs. That's all he is. At the moment, as I said on the last pod, it's just until he does something good, or until he changes his game where I think he can come in and do something, then I'd rather more start while Son's out. It's blocking the path for more that he had a brilliant game, a starting debut you could call it against Farron Cavos. He had a great game. No matter whatever stats tell you, we use eyes. He had a good game, played well, but Werner he added nothing to the game. Absolutely nothing. As I say, he was legs. In the start of the game, he was making runs. He was providing space, but it didn't do much for us. It really didn't. I'd rather see more on that left. So as far as I'm concerned right now, is that our strongest 11? No, it's just that left wing spot. When Son comes back in, then yeah, then there's no debate of who should be starting. But as of right now, it's more.
Okay, so the rest of the team though, Vicario, Pedro Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, and
Yeah.
Udogie. That's your strongest back line, right? We're agreeing on that.
Yeah, completely agree.
Bentancur, Madison, Kulusevski in the middle there. Again, I thought that was very strong.
Yeah,
No concerns there.
I think you could rotate Bentancur out now and then, although he is solid for us. It's just seeing Sarr on the ball playing in that deeper role. I do like watching even Basuma, but obviously Basuma has the injury at the moment. He's still getting back to full fitness. But just going back on the defence, just Udogie. He's a good player, but what happened that game? All three goals come through him. All three errors come through him. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was pressure. I don't know if it was just us not adapting to Brighton's game in the second half. But it's just all. It's not Udogie's fault that we lost, but it's Udogie's fault that they had those chances to score. Let's just say that.
Okay. Well, we could probably talk about that a little bit more later on. But then Johnson, Solanke, no arguments there. Obviously, just this issue with Timo Werner, right?
Yeah, I mean Johnson again. Just as the fans are saying, Johnson again. It's 6 games on. He's scoring. He's got, as I say, stop. 6 games ago now, when everyone was berating him. Well, there's a player in there. Just give him time, and he'll come along. Which, to be fair, he's thriving in confidence right now. I think Werner needs to delete Instagram at this point, see what happens. But Johnson, he's having a great few games, and I think sky's the limit as of now.
Okay. Dean, do you want to? I know I'm going to just throw this on you because I know we haven't put that in the kind of running order on the notes. But what's your view on the starting 11? Was you happy with the starting 11?
I was in the first half. I thought it was brilliant. You know, we played well. Again, me and Mason are always going to disagree on the Werner thing, because again, same as Johnson. I think there's a player in there, but he just has Don't know what it is. I mean, it wasn't up to speed on that first cross. We should have been in 26. Was it 26 minutes? And we'd have been 26 seconds. We'd have been in front. But it was just like a poor cross. However, he's creating that space for everybody else. He was flying past their backs so simply. But yeah, apart from that, and again, Sonny's form. So I don't think Sonny's an easy shoe-in, because his form of late hasn't been brilliant. His touch of late hasn't been brilliant. And obviously, if he's going to come back from a whether it's like a tight hamstring or whatever it is from that injury, he's not going to be the Sonny of old. So yeah, Mason might not get his wishes as soon as he thinks.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest. I did have some concerns and some reservations over Werner. As I've said, I'm not his biggest fan. I can't sit here and argue his case. But I did think in terms of in the game against Man United, and I know we're going back, I thought he had a decent game there. And I felt like he was growing in confidence. And even at the start of this game against Brighton, I thought, actually, he looks on it. Is this the one that's going to break that duck and get the goal? And of course, a couple of really good opportunities. The one that wasn't given, that kind of ended up coming off of Maddison, I think, in the end. But we were all screaming for it to be a Werner goal to kind of get him off. But for me, that was that was kind of the only concern, I guess. So coming on, just staying with you, Dean. Let's just talk about the overall first half performance. I thought we were absolutely electric. I thought we looked, unplayable in that first half. What did you think? Was there anything in there to hint that the second half was going to collapse?
Not at all. I mean, obviously, if you listen to some of the commentary, they were like, even ex-Arsenal players and their pundits were like, wow, Spurs are purring now. It's unbelievable what they're doing. It's like one-touch, two-touch football, making the spaces, doing the triangles, playing through the lines. Brighton had nothing apart from Matoma and Welbeck. They gave us so many times. It gave us this is what could happen. If you mark Matoma out the game, I don't think they'd have got down. The amount of times they come down that left, bearing in mind Doggy was on our left, they still went past Porro. They still sort of then Johnson had to stack back. So give Brighton their due. It weren't all down to us being totally crap the second half, but first half they would look shell shocked.
Yeah.
What you've also got to put in mind, Brighton had a whole week off, hadn't they?
Yeah.
Brighton had the whole week off. We played, so they're professional footballers, but not all of the team played. So I'm still at a loss. As much as I want to go, the first half was brilliant, which it was. You just can't get off it over that second half capitulation. And so as much as I love the first half, as much as the way we played Ange ball, I don't know what he said to him second half.
Yeah, I thought, as I say, I thought we had such a great first half. We couldn't believe it. I was sat in the club watching it, and I thought we looked fantastic. The movement and the speed and the press and everything else. We just looked like we was all over them, and it could have been 5 or 6, to be honest with you. I agree with you. I think Matoma was brilliant, and I did say to Jason, who sat with me, he's the one you've got to watch. He's getting far too much space down that side. And so I think there was probably a couple of warning signs in the first half, but we were just so good. We kind of blew them away, I guess. Just want to pick up on Solanke. What did you think of his performance, Dean? Because to me, it looked like he was involved in both the goals. Without scoring himself, I thought we had a really good half. But what do you think of his performance?
Yeah, he's hold up play. He's spreading the balls. He was coming deep. Which is not normally what he does. He was coming deep. He was helping out in defence. He was everywhere. I think, although it didn't get noticed as much because he didn't score. There wasn't so like tons and tons of shots on goal. I think it's his best game. I think it's his best game for us so far, just in terms of his overall play. I think he had an absolutely cracking game. You know, if you're looking from the outside, you probably go, "Oh, well, what did he do then?" But he was constant. He'd drop it in the midfield and he'd spray the ball out wide, give it to Kulu, play it onto Johnson, into Madders. You know, he was playing everybody's role. And I think if he had stayed up front, he might have even scored more. But he weren't. He was playing for the whole team. I guess being buoyed by your first England call-up for I don't know how many years. You know, you're getting an England call-up. So yeah, in that and I think part of that was also Maddison going, "Well, you forgot about me. Watch me play," and he played brilliantly too.
Yeah,
in the first.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Mason, just going to come to you because we've kind of touched on it already. But Johnson, 6 in 6. I mean, you can't stop him at the moment.
No, he's a man in form. Don't get me wrong. We every season you see a player who's in form across the league. It might not be a Spurs player, but it's like Rashford. Remember his purple patch, Almiron, his purple patch. It well could be a purple patch, but it's just you can't knock him. You can't knock him. Start of the season when he was getting all that hate, we all knew he has quality, apart from a few people. But we all knew he has quality. He just needs to show it. And I think this season so far, after the third game, he has. I don't think he's the most is it a stretch to say he's the most informed player right now? Obviously behind Haaland, because he's not real. He's not a person. He's a robot.
Yeah.
But behind Haaland, I think Johnson could be the most informed player in the league right now. I mean, forgive me if I'm forgetting anyone, but at the top of my head, it's 6 in 6, all competitions. He's playing well. It's not as if he's playing awfully and getting 6 goals. He's playing well and getting these 6 goals. Not including his goal contributions. It could be on 8, could be on 9. I don't know. But I know he got an assist against United. So that's 7 right there, not including his assist that he's had. But he's a man on fire. He's a man in form. And right now, I think the right wing is solid. I don't see anyone starting over him.
Yeah, I think, it was interesting because he's also hit the crossbar and hit a post in the last couple of games. And he seems to be it just seems to be all going in his way at the moment. And somebody they do seem fairly similar in the terms of kind of running onto the ball or whatever, getting that bit of space to kind of run onto. Where I felt he was struggling before was when it was really compact, he's kind of limited because he can't stretch his legs, he can't go anywhere. Whereas if the ball's played to him and he can run onto it, I don't think anyone can stop him, to be honest with you.
I think
I thought he had a great game.
I think going forward in the future, in terms of his confidence, there's one thing I pray happens for him. Who was the famous Welsh winger, and what was his number? That's going to be available next year. That's going to make Brennan Johnson's confidence skyrocket. Give Brennan Johnson that number 11, and he's already said he looked up to Gareth Bale when he was younger. If you give him that number, I think his confidence is going to skyrocket. I think that he's going to be an even better player for us, just because it looks like he's fueled on confidence. Like that's his driving. That's what makes Brennan Johnson play well. His confidence.
I think he looks so much happier now after seeing the one he scored against Coventry and his reaction. To seeing his reactions over the last couple of games, it's like he's loving it. Absolutely. When I was out in Budapest and he scored that goal there at the end of the game, the fans were just constantly singing his name. All the players come over, and they were just constantly singing, Johnson, ole, Johnson again, sort of thing. And you could tell that kind of meant something, because obviously he gave the away fans a little bit of a cold shoulder against Coventry, but he was kind of loving that in Budapest for sure, and well deserved. So listen, we've got to talk about it. Right, that second half performance, Mason. What did you make of that? Capitulation, whatever. But I mean, that's got to be one of the worst halves of football that I've seen for a long time from a Tottenham team, and I've seen a fair few even recently. So but that's got to be the worst one, the one that leaves you scratching your head, right?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to say because you can't pin it down on one thing. So what the three things I'd say made us lose that game was individual error. As I say, touching it earlier, Udogie, individual error. All three goals. I don't know what happened to him in that game. I don't know if it was a confidence knock. I don't know if he was just many times I saw that game was Udogie being pressed by two players. I think it was more of a forcing Udogie to into an error, which is what I think Brighton from the get-go in the second half went and got. But also you can blame it down to Ange not adapting. We've got a 2-goal lead. What are you going to do with it? I think a lot of it was down to Ange in terms of that, but also subs. Why were we subbing in the 75th minute when our players looked absolutely knackered? As Dean said, Brighton hadn't played for a week. We were coming off playing on a Thursday. Our players still being a bit knackered and tired and whatever. I think leaving subs until the 75th minute when you've got 15 minutes to go is not good enough. It's really not. So I think those are the three things. It's individual error and not adaptation to the second half because we knew Brighton were going to go and try and salvage a point. They weren't going to sit back and try and defend whatever they had after going 2-0 down. They were going to go and try and win the game. And coming down to subs, really.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the subs again in a bit, but Dean, just picking up on Mason's point about he calls him Udogie, I call him Udogie. I don't know how you say his name properly, to be honest with you. But when I was watching it, it felt like to me that as soon as he made that mistake for the first goal and the pressure kind of started moving on, it felt to me like he lost his head. I don't know. Did you see it that way, or am I just seeing something that wasn't there?
No, he's fragile because he's done it a few times in the past, and then all of a sudden he'll be brilliant for the next 4 or 5 games. But just he was flapping, and as soon as he got under pressure, normally he'll wriggle himself out of it or take it down a wing and then sort of put the pass in. But it was like he couldn't get out of his feet. It's like he'd gone in at half time, took his boots off, then put them back on the wrong feet because he was all over the place. He was slipping. He couldn't sort of clear the ball. I mean, when that ball came across, I think it was Van der Ven. He might have just got a nick on it, so he took the flight of the ball off, but he didn't react. I mean, you saw it the other game where Brennan Johnson put that cross in, and it got a little nick, and it went up in the air, and Cooley changed his feet and then sort of put it in the back of the net. Whereas the doggy just went, "Oh, I'll try and over it. Just let it hit you and put it out. Just put it out. You know, deal with the next action when it comes in from the corner. Don't try and sort of like Wayne Rooney bicycle kick it out." It was just, but it weren't just that one. It was the next one and the next one. But when he got beat, instead of coming, right, I'm going to go after the guy now. He just turned me round. Go after him. No. He just stood there like a lemon going, "Oh, that's gone." You don't do that, surely.
I know he's kind of getting the bit of the most of the blame from that point of view, but I also felt Van der Ven had played a mistake. He kind of dived in a couple of times. I thought it unnecessarily. And for the third one with Welbeck, Romero once again just ball watching. It kind of just felt he'd run from behind him, and he was just fixated, thinking that they're going to clear the ball. And of course, when they didn't just whack it out, take a corner or whatever. He still manages to get the cross in, and Welbeck standing there in acres of space. I bet he couldn't believe his luck, to be honest with you.
No.
When you got a World Cup and Copa America Cup winner stood right next to you, and you've got all that space.
Right. So I'm going to come back to you on that Romero thing. Right. Again, he's done this in the past. What we on now? We're on the international break. Been called up. didn't want to get hurt. So he doesn't go into them flying into. All right, he stopped flying into them tackles like a lot now. But it was almost like, well, I don't want to get hurt because I want to go and play for. It could be that. I could be totally wrong, right? Could be totally wrong, doing everybody a disservice. But it was a totally different team from the first half to the second half.
Yeah.
Again, not all down to us, right? Brighton was brilliant. Brighton rung the changes. You could see the press. They started doing the high press. They was doubling up on players, and they like Doggy. They've doubled up on him, sort of putting the press on him. Went over to Porro, doubled up on him. You saw him every time the Spurs had the ball. There was 2 or 3 players all round the player. So if you see that happening, you've either got to quicken up your passing so you get through that press. Once you're through that press, because that's how we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be on the front foot, doing it at speed, break the press, and let the free forwards or do what they do. But we didn't. We didn't break up that press. As soon as it came through, they was going, looking at the ball, going, oh, where am I going to get rid of it? And then they broke for the press, and they was on us all the time. And should have seen that and gone, right, okay, we need to do this. And I know he's not everybody's cup of tea. I know he's not. But the one person that we missed in that midfield that would have been like a general or something like that to go, right, okay, they're not pushing through us like this. And we let him go. Who am I talking about?
Højbjerg.
Exactly that, right? I'd have had him there because that's his game. That would have been his game. That would have been a brilliant game for that guy. I know he had to go off. He had to go and play football and all the rest. But he is the midfield general, and we haven't got one of them. Right, Matters. He's tiny. He's tiny. Pap Shaw. He's like this. I've seen more meat on a twiglet, and like Bentancur, as good as he is. Like Max said, he's not fully fit. He's not 100% as he was, and I think he's still got this mental thing in his mind, like of this band coming up. So yeah, second half we looked totally unbalanced and totally devoid of a game plan.
Yeah, I was really disappointed of how good we were in the first half. We were literally that bad in the second half. I do wonder, from my own point of view, whether it did seem like we got a bit tired. I was concerned about Maddison didn't really produce too much in the second half. Bentancur seemed to wane and disappear from the game. Like I said, Udogie, I thought the goal affected him. Got himself a yellow card as well, and that was always going to make it more difficult. And when they were just playing through the midfield and bypassing the midfield, it put us under so much pressure. So I guess that's where the criticism of Ange comes. And I'm going to just put this quote up. And I know you probably can't see it, Dean, being on your phone, right? But so he was asked the question: were you tempted to make your subs earlier as the game was turning, right? So this was his answer. Yeah, I could have, but all these things are totally irrelevant to me. Substitutions are all those kind of things. If you're not competitive, it doesn't matter what you do. You're not going to get the rewards. You don't deserve to win. We didn't deserve on our second half performance, irrespective of subs or anything else, to get something out of the game. But I think if you do get something out of the game, you're falsely rewarded, and I don't want to get falsely rewarded. Now, I've got to be honest with you, right? That sounds like a load of waffle to me, and a total is one of those things you might as well be Eric Cantona talking about the fishes in the sea or whatever. Because I just thought that was nonsense, right? I can kind of get the point about you don't want to hide the fact that the team wasn't competitive, but the aim is to win the game, right? And as soon as Udogie was getting turned inside and out and getting himself a yellow card, there's an opportunity there for Jed Spence. Surely that's why he's on the bench, or Archie Gray, who can play in that position, right? So that really confused me. Shoring up the midfield. Why didn't Papsar get on earlier? Why didn't Basuma get on earlier? There's opportunities in there. Mikey Moore on the left wing, because we were getting nothing from Timo. you know, there's opportunities there. You've got 5 substitutions. You know, you're losing the tides turning, and that's what the manager's there for, right? To make those decisions and to make those changes. Mason, what did you make of all of that with Ange? You know, just kind of standing there. It looked to me like he just stood there with his hands in his pockets.
Yeah, as I say, we've been saying recently, he doesn't do anything during the game. It is literally down to the fact that another reason for the loss is that Ange just doesn't. He gets people wired to Ange ball, as what we said a few weeks ago. In their head, he goes, "Play the way you're going to play. I'm not going to interfere. You know how I want you to play. Crack on," which isn't helpful. That's not how you do things, especially when it comes down to, you see like top managers like Pep. I'm not even going to use the bloke down the road as an example. Pep, or even Klopp when he was here, or any other manager in the top flight. They're always adapting mid-game. You play out wide. You do this. You do that. Ange gets Chelsea. And we're 2-0 down. He was fuming because they weren't playing the way he wanted them to play. But they were playing the way Ange wanted them to play against Brighton. He wasn't going to interfere. But the fact is, he should have been man managing at that point there. Because after the first goal, after the second goal, everyone knew we weren't playing the way that we were supposed to be playing. And we didn't adapt to the way Brighton were playing. So Ange standing their hands in his pockets doing nothing was never, ever going to help us in that situation. That's when, as a manager, you come in and you do your job as a manager and you tell people what to do in that instant. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, you're the guy, you're stood on the sidelines, right? And you're looking across. And I know you've got a philosophy of how you want to play football. Absolutely. I get that. But at the same time, if something's not working, you know, to change the legs of the people that are on there. So, you know, if they're running out of steam, then you've got players. I mean, if you looked at the bench, there was players on that bench that were like for like changes to players that you wanted to take off.
Yeah.
So, you know, to give them that boost, to give them those fresh legs, to give them that impetus. You know, to me, it just kind of makes sense. Dean, are you the same? Do you feel the same? I mean, this is probably the first time I've personally really criticised Ange, because I've always found him a pretty much a straight talker. But that sounded like a load of waffle to me and an excuse. What was your view?
Oh, definitely. It's just I speak to Alex quite a bit, and it drives me mad when I see him. You don't want to mention the guy's name down the road, but he's constantly going like that. You drop over there. You need to come back. Go over this side. Play down the wing. Right, shut him off. I want 2 over there. I want so many other. It looks like a bloke who's having an absolute episode trying to sort of land a plane. His hands are all over the place. Ange in his pockets. Yeah. I'm surprised he doesn't do that. Yeah, the trainer will be along in a minute. It looks like he's got that. Sometimes it looks like he's got Alzheimer's, like waiting for a bus. Drives me mad. Do something. He's not. He's supposed to be proactive. He's not even reactive because nothing happens. You'll see something going. Yeah, change that. But there are times when you go, why has he done that? And all of a sudden, it all works. It all clicks. We was all watching that game. Everybody could see that third goal coming. I could even see a fourth goal coming. I go, waiting for the Brighton fans to go, it's happened again, you know? I don't understand. If you're a manager, that's what you do. You can't just do it. It's like taking your kid swimming, right? So you're at home, like, go on, in the bath. Yeah. Oh, you're doing well, Bo. You're doing well. Go on, get in the deep end. Oh. Now you'll get up in a bit. Why is he drowning? Right? Fucking you jump in, didn't you? Yeah, you jump in, you drag him out, going, oh, sorry, boy, like, you know, we'll have to change that. Maybe put some armbands on or something next time. But change it. That's your job. Your whole job is not just to coach. You've got other coaches to coach, right? Your job is when that's going on the pitch, change it. Move people across. Change wings. Instead, get a next game plan. Like American football, they've always got a playbook. They see how the other team's lining up against them, showing blitz or whatever it is. Right, okay, time out, let's do this. We'll change that game plan. But we haven't got any. He's not doing that, and we haven't got, I don't think, a leader on the pitch that can make that call as well. Right? Obviously, Sane is off. So I think we've again. I'm being a little bit harsh because the last few weeks we've been going, this is Ange ball, this is what we want to see, and 45 minutes has actually smashed our dreams on the rocks. So it is a tough one. It is a tough one. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. But when you see such a capitulation, and we've done it many times before, Wolves, that Wolves game, Newcastle, and Villa, the list goes on. But so it's not just Ange, and it's not just our players, because all of our players have changed as well. So I don't know what it is. And I hate the term Spursy, and you get that all the time.
Yeah, no,
It's in the fucking dictionary.
I really get it. I really do get it. And like you say, the managers have come and go. The players have changed. There's hardly any players in that team that are, from the past, and you're still watching the same things. I guess I don't know whether maybe are fans being overreactionary? Are we do we want it too much too soon? I don't. It's really difficult, right? Because we've all been fans for a long time, and you I've been through so many false dawns. It's just ridiculous. And everyone you keep getting. You're either told, you've got to be patient. You've got to be patient. This is only 7 games or whatever it is into the season. There's a long way to go, and Ange did say this is a painful rebuild, and it is a painful rebuild, right? Because we're talking about changing the whole squad, the whole coaching team, the whole culture of how the football team plays and everything. That's not going to change in a season and a bit. So I don't know. Are fans been asking too much? He did say that there will be good times and there will be bad times, and when the bad times are bad, they really are bad. But when the good games are really good, I know people can call out and go, worst Man United side forever. Well, they went to Villa Park and still come away with a draw, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where we absolutely smashed them at home. So I think that performance is probably worthy more than the credit we're getting for it. So it's a really difficult one. Mason, do you think we're being overreactionary as fans, being so upset over this loss?
I don't think us lot as a group, no. But there are certain people online that are a bit overreactive. I think you saw my tweet the other day, Lee. It was everyone wants a rebuild until it's time for a rebuild. Everyone likes the idea of a rebuild and going through and winning something, but no one likes the process during a rebuild. I mean, them lot down the road, their rebuild. Do you remember how funny it was during lockdown watching them lot have a meltdown? But now look at them; they're actually up there. Being that they haven't really done a lot, but they are up there and they're contending. It's what happens. City, I mean, they had a takeover, but for years before Pep come along, they were coming up. They were doing whatever. It's just it takes time. It's always going to take time. I think there is a bit of an overreaction, especially with people saying Ange out. Who are you going to get in? If you
that's the issue, right?
Yeah.
Where do you go from here? If you're Ange out, where do you go?
That's the thing. If someone personally says Ange out, what's the plan afterwards? It's a cycle. Oh, Ange out. Oh, okay, right, brilliant. We're going to bring someone else in, a new prospect manager or a new veteran manager, and they're still going to do the same thing. They're going to come in, we're going to get excited, and they're going to leave after doing nothing. It's just don't jump too quick. It's a massive overreaction to say Ange out, in my opinion. And I respect that's not everyone. There's quite a few people saying Ange out had enough. It's pointless. It's just a constant cycle. Break the cycle, see what happens. That's my opinion.
I think the key thing with this is that we've spent a lot of money bringing in these players that are young, developing, and so on. Mm-hmm. If you change that manager now, number one, who do you change him for? Yep. And number two, what's their expectation? And we know what Daniel Levy's like. Is Daniel Levy prepared to go, well, okay, here's some more money and we'll get rid of all the players we've just got if they're not good enough and have to go through all this again? Is that going to happen? Is that an opportunity? One of the names that's that I keep seeing now is obviously Thomas Tuchel. but again, is he going to want the same players that Ange has already brought in? The style of play or whatever, is that going to work? Dean, what's your view with this whole, are we overreacting or what, or do we just have to kind of take this one as a kick in the teeth and hope that after the international break we come back stronger?
You'd hope so. The thing that I don't like is his comments sometimes afterwards. They're sort of too flippant. They're too throwaway. He goes, "It's all on me. It's all on me." That second half was all on him, but that first half was all on him. So it's just strange. It's almost like he's bipolar or something, because it's just really weird that how we played so good and didn't give Brighton a chance. There's no way we went in there after 45 minutes and ran out of steam. It just couldn't have been. I don't know what it was, the second half. And Brighton come out, so much the better. And it was almost like we come and go, "Oh, we've got this in the bag, lads. This ain't no problem. We'll swagger about." Yeah, bring the cakes over. And the sausage rolls. Anybody been down Greg's? Right? That's what it looked like. We were so leggy afterwards. But at the same time, were we made to look leggy because Brighton did such a good job?
Yeah.
Right? If you ask Brighton fans, I have no doubt say, yeah, we played you for the park. So it was a tale of two halves, because we played them off the park, then they played us off the park. We just didn't deal with what they were doing. We didn't deal with that well in the first half. Like I say, Matoma run their game. Even when they were being battered, he still run it. Welbeck was still he could have had two in the first half. It could have been like 2-2. So, I mean, it's just, we all look across and then the cameras all pan onto the managers. And then when you see him like this, his hands in his pockets, looking around, going, "Boy, I've told them what to do. If they don't want to do it, So it is strange. I'm definitely not an Ange out, and I don't know who you'd have in. I definitely don't want another Chelsea reject. I just don't. So who would you bring in? Who's out there? There's nobody out there that could actually physically really come into a job, apart from the red man. He's not coming back. I mean, he looks so happy. He looks so happy being retired. He's only been in out the game a few months, and he's like chilled out, no stress, no grief. But would Klopp football be better at Spurs? Don't know. No,
I can't see him. I can't see him coming to us though. I can't see him wanting to manage any other Premier League team after being at Liverpool.
No.
He wouldn't want to kill his legacy there or something like that. I can't see that ever happening. So,
but we can't even rely on old Ryan Mason. He's in talks with Anderlecht today. If you haven't seen the news today, for his first managerial job, he's in talks with Anderlecht, so we can't even bring him in to step up. So where do we go from here if you are Ange out? Because you can't rely on the old Ryan Mason now. It's time for you to get your thinking cap on.
Yeah, see, for me, I just think this Ange out thing is to be honest with you, I just feel it's a clickbait type thing. It's an easy phrase to chuck out there. That gets people going. Like I've said, for me, I want some stability. I want to see some stability. I want to see some. Loyalty of where we're going, a plan of where we're going. It doesn't matter how Levy out we can be, Enoch out, whatever. They're not going to sell. They're not going to sell. It's not happening. There's no point getting ourselves worked up and upset about it. So you've got to have a manager who's going to be able to work in those kind of things. And I personally love the idea of youngsters coming through and developing together and learning together and becoming a tight-knit squad, which is what them lot down the road are trying to do with all of their team, building from, having those building blocks of development together and belonging and so on. I like the idea of that. I like that view of it. I've never been a fan of buying every £100 million player that you can and hope that they work out into a really good squad. But I did think this comments from Ange was not disturbing, but it just kind of took me back to when Pochettino was waffling on and saying stuff that was a bit confusing. You didn't really know where you were going. it felt a little bit like that. Given that we'd had so many good games leading up to this defeat, playing well, scoring goals and all the rest of it, you would have thought that Ange would have been a little bit more steady with his comments, or a bit more logical with what he was saying in that scenario. But anyway, that's just me. And like I say, I'm not keen on us changing yet again. But that's depressing enough, isn't it? You know, it's just at the end of the day, it's just 3 points dropped, right? So it's just another game, and we can get some more points back. We've got West Ham coming up after the international break, so we can start trying to win again. And you go to the next game and hopefully start building some momentum from there. Obviously, we did have 2 games in this week because we played Ferencváros. Have I said that right? I don't know. It's better than what I've been trying to say. I've just been saying that team in Budapest. So I was going to ask Alex, who obviously can't make it, about his view on the team selection for that game. So Dean, let me ask you, what did you make of the team selection? Because there was a lot of changes in that team, very young team you put out there for this game.
Yeah, I like it. I like the whole idea. I prefer, and I'm an advocate of strongest team in, do the damage, and then put in the subs to then sort of run the game out. But he done it the opposite way, with Brighton in mind as well. You know, so I thought, that's, you know, and to come away with a win, absolutely brilliant. And we played some good football, but I mean, we weren't totally convincing, but we still come away from got a good result. So yeah, I mean, he gets stuff right, but at the same time, I would, and I've always, like I say, I always prefer to have the strongest team in, and then when you've done the 60 minutes in, let them sit down, you've done your job, and then bring the kids in. And we're saying kids. I mean, Archie Gray, he's young, 40 million though. You know, so it's not like we picked him up off the street or something like that. He's just come straight out of the academy or straight off from school. You know, these are proven players that are doing well. So you've got to blood them at some point, otherwise they never get game time and they end up going off to like Orient and Plymouth and all the rest of it. So I like it. I like what they're doing. I like what he's doing. And then saying that, if we flip back to who's going to replace Ange, I can't remember the guy's name that's running our academy. It used to be John McDermott, but I can't remember the guy's name. And he's doing well, and they're still playing brilliantly, even though we've taken out most of their squad to play in our first team, and lost them to Championship and National League times. So, you know, we must have a good academy to be able to do what we're doing, and at least Ange is unlike Conte, unlike Mourinho, would have let the young lads come through and play. So yeah, I quite liked it.
All right. Well, look, sticking with you then, right? Because I've been saying, I've been calling out his performance in that game. Archie Gray played 2 positions in that match. He played at left back and then he played at left centre back. What did you make of his performance overall, Dean? Watching it on the telly as opposed to me watching it in the stadium, we were very close. We were very close to the players, to be fair. And I thought he had a great game. What did you make of him watching him on the TV?
I preferred him in left centre than I did left back. He did get sort of like caught out a few times at left back, whereas left centre he seemed to have a little more time. He was happier in that position. So yeah, I definitely prefer him at left centre rather than left back. That's for sure.
See, I thought he was. I thought he's turning, his close control. I just thought was really, really good. I was really impressed with him. I was really impressed with him in the game, being up close to him. He's quite a tall lad. He's quite thin, but quite a decent. And he didn't get bullied as much as I was expecting him to. Against the team in that kind of league, you kind of expect a little bit of physicality, shall we say? And I felt he kind of put up with it quite well. So So, and another one, Mason, just coming to you, and I know you you touched on him earlier, was Mikey Moore. What did you make of his performance against Ferencváros?
He had a good game. He made many chances for us. He always took his man on. He was a breath of fresh air, if I'm being honest. Yeah, it's only Ferencváros, or however you say it, but it's always good to see players like that, exciting young players come through, like especially with I know you said about Moore, but Gray, it's always great seeing players like that come through. He had a good game. What can I say? He had a good start. Even Lancashire had a good start, had a good game. Lancashire, he should have had a goal. Great save, great stop. But yeah, no more. I think there's just more and more to come, more to see from him. Just give him that start in the Premier League and watch him go, in my opinion.
I mean, at this point, what have you got to lose? I guess
Exactly. There's nothing to lose.
Is the question. Just sticking with you, Mason. The offside goal from Ferencváros? I felt it was a bit harsh, if I'm honest. I didn't think it was offside from where I was watching, and I'm the other end of the stadium and that. But did get away with one there? Did we?
Yeah, I was in the pub for the first half, and I sat there and I went, if, as I said like last week, I go off of decisions where if I'd be fuming if it was disallowed for me, and I honestly I would have been angry if that was disallowed for us. It was quite shocking, really. But then again, it's what can you do? What can you do? If it was the other way around, I'd be angry. But being that it wasn't, I'm happy to come away with the 3 points and move up the table in the league. So, what more can you say?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you get luck go your way. Sometimes it doesn't go your way, as we all know. And I think we try to stay a little bit kind of level-headed in the overall situation, I guess. But from my point of view, I'm just going to come to you, Dean, about the rival fans being in kind of Eastern Europe. I guess it's still kind of classed as Eastern Europe over there. The fans all bouncing, tifo, fireworks. What did you make of all that? Do you like that sort of thing?
Yeah, I love it. That's what you go away for, isn't it? I think, let's say, one of the noisiest groups when we went to Olympiacos. The noise from both ends of the stadium, like south to the north, it was so loud, and it just makes everybody. So they're singing loud. So as away fans, you start singing loud, and it just creates a brilliant atmosphere. Yeah, it can be a little bit naughty in some places, like Roma, but it creates the atmosphere. I mean, that Brighton game, I actually, like my mate went to Scotty, and I actually phoned him. Is it as quiet? He said, yeah. He said, I'm still here, and it was dead, absolutely dead in the first half. But obviously the Spurs fans were singing. But yeah, for some reason the us England, we don't do it as much. I mean, Palace is good. Palace is a good great because they're always singing. Not so much now, but you know they're always loud. Sheffield Wednesday, that used to be a great place to go. You know, because they had the band going, and they was always singing. But a lot of the grounds now are sort of these big bowls, you know, and they're more corporate and they're more tourist driven, and then they're not as loud. Apart from when you have like a derby, like sort of West Ham, you think it'd be bouncing. Arsenal, it should be bouncing. Chelsea for sure. But the normal any other game, we don't bring the atmosphere that we used to, you know, especially for the old White Hart Lane. But yeah, I love it. I love going away. I love going away. It's definitely more of an atmosphere.
Yeah, I gotta say, I give the fans a 10 out of 10. I thought they were fantastic out there. It is very intimidating. You know, the tifo going up and the singing all being coordinated, you're bouncing and stuff like that. You kind of, even at with all the people trying to get the atmosphere going at the new stadium and everything else. Every time they try something, they get shut down. You know, everyone moaning about, more flags, geezer on a trumpet or a drum or whatever. You got to try something though, right? Because you know people are not doing anything themselves, you know, to help that atmosphere. So it is an eye opener when you go to an away ground like that and you get that kind of thing. We're not allowed to have a tifo. You know, the people that try and do that sort of thing, they have to get permission to be in there to put the cards out and all that sort of thing. And you can't even have a bottle top on your bottle of Coke, let alone come in there with flares and fireworks. So there isn't. I think the chairman of the football clubs and the police and all the rest of it, they love to see the atmosphere in the football ground, but they won't do anything to help us do that atmosphere or let us do that atmosphere. It's all these regulations about this, that, and the other. And you stand up and you get some twat behind you saying sit down. So I mean it's a totally different world, isn't it? As soon as you go abroad, it's a whole different story.
Yeah, I mean the old ground, like the old lane. You had Park Lane, and then you had the Shelf side, and it was always bouncing across, right? You hardly ever anything from the Paxton, let alone not from the West Stand. So it was always that side that was trying to get it singing. So when the Park Lane starts singing, and when we're in the Shelf side, you stand up to sort of go like, and we're the Shelf side. Yes, and the steward's going, no, sit down, sit down. We're trying to get the atmosphere going. What is the point of having 17,000 people in that stand? Because it's supposed to be the Great White Wall, isn't it? That was what it was going to be, the big white wall to replicate Dortmund, the big yellow wall. It's totally different. I've been to Dortmund. I've seen the yellow wall in full flow. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And we go, no, just we're the. But we've got to do something because it's not a football stadium anymore. It's an event, I think.
It's too commercial. That's what it is. It's like what you say, Dean. I don't think if you used to go to Dortmund, I don't know, I've never been, but are they walking through with pizzas? Are they walking through with tacos? Like what are they doing?
With big beer, glasses of beer. That's again.
Yeah.
You can drink in there. You can drink in there.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating because we went there a few years ago, and when we scored, right, it was like just raining down beer. We had lucky enough, we had a big flag. We used just an umbrella, but it come from everywhere. So yeah, again, added to the atmosphere. It is good, but they're coming in with sausage roll, pizzas, and
tacos, and
it's not.
anything
It's
that's on
not.
special that day.
Yeah, it is. Don't get me wrong. I understand it. People want to sit there and enjoy. You've only got 15 minutes, like at half time, to eat that anyway. So sitting in your seat, but they're sitting in the seat and they're eating their. I know it's not with diverging a little bit, but sitting in the seat, eating their pizza on their phone, showing their friends on FaceTube or whatever you want to call it. Look at me, I've got a pizza. You're at Spurs. Everybody else is like fans are jumping around and going, oh mate, what is this?
It's not to cause offence to anyone, but it's too Americanized. If you're being brutally honest, it is. It's just the whole concept of going to a football game and eating a pizza and having your katsu curry and stuff like. It's just like you don't get that. I mean, back in obviously get your pork pie or whatever, because loads of people do that. They just get a pie before the game or whatever, or sit there and eat a pie before the game starts. But you don't sit there and get a full course meal walking through trying to get to your seat. It's like the other day at the Europa League game. I think we spoke about it last week. It's quite annoying, really, because it's supposed to be a bouncing atmosphere, but every 2 seconds you'll. So I think when I was there, it was 60th minute. Game had been on for 15 minutes already in the second half. Someone had walked through with 2 pizzas, not one, 2 pizzas, going back to his seat because he asked his mate if he wanted one as he walked out. There was people walking past with, I'd say tacos. I didn't even know we'd done tacos, but we do. I now know that we do. It's ridiculous. I don't get it. It's just
the trouble is that football in this country has moved on so much from what it was like when me and Dean and your dad and that were going. It was, it was rough and ready. It was, you were treated, well, you still are treated like shit, but you were treated, herded and stuff like that. You were all kind of forced in. You had to stand. There weren't no seats and stuff like that. So it was a total different atmosphere. But for me, I think you kind of need to go somewhere in the middle. I think it's just gone too far now in the corporate side of. I'm all for making profit and getting some decent food, and some of the crap that they've served up in different stadiums is unbelievable. So I'm not against people being able to get some decent food, but again, in Budapest, you were allowed to have a beer in the stands. There was no one throwing beer at each other. There was no one out of control or anything like that. It didn't cause any trouble. You're all segregated off anyway. So Again, there was no issue with that, but we're not even allowed to have a lid on our bottle of Coke. So it just feels, and even going back, and I've said this story before, but I've got a flag that I bring for the South Dorset Spurs people, and it has to be registered. A fire certificate has to be issued. I've got a letter from the club to say I'm allowed to bring it in. Like, I mean, it's just crazy, really. You know, the years of kind of just turning up and showing your colours and waving them around. You can't put them anywhere because everywhere's got advertising on it, and you get told off to take it down. So it is just a very, very strange and different world now to what we're kind of used to as Tottenham fans. But it was a real eye opener going to a European game, and I would say to anyone, if you get the opportunity to go, you've got to take it, because it's a far better experience than some of those corporate bowls that we've become accustomed to. Anyway,
yeah, I'd like to. You know, obviously, people that are watching this that don't go to like Spurs games and may go like once in a blue moon, what their experience is like. So, you know, we go there and it's like just every week or every other week or whatever. So when they go, what's their experience? Because you see it so many times, they come, wow, and all video and all the rest of it, where we're just sort of jumping up and down like idiots, or sitting in a seat sulking, depending how the game goes. So yeah, as people that go there the first or second time, like, you know, how do they see the atmosphere? And because I've seen these videos where other home, like, away fans will come in and go, yeah, it's a great place, but you know, it's a bit quiet, and it is a bit quiet. You can hear it sometimes. You know, there's the Arsenal game a few years ago, like the 3-0, that was as noisy as I've heard that place. That was absolutely mental loud in there. I came out, my ears were ringing. It was, but you didn't have, I hate the word, like the tourists. You didn't have them all there because they was the people that actually probably own their seats and turn up for the game rather than selling it on exchange all the time. So yeah, I mean, I remember the old times. You know, lucky enough, I've lost a bit of weight again now, but you couldn't even get through the turnstiles. You remember? You go for the old East stand. You had like on your promo when you started. You couldn't get through there. It was so tight. You sort of squeezing along, like trying to get through the turnstile. Chelsea's still the same. Some of the old grounds are still the same. They were the better grounds, you know, falling apart. You look at it and there's rust hanging on, and there's water coming in where it shouldn't be. Yeah, the old Highbury, the old bowling ground, Upton Park. They were the grounds. The ones we've got now, they're just not. They're not football grounds, are they? Like you say, they are corporate events, with a few footy fans like mixed in the middle.
Yeah, I guess, you know, we can always harp onto the past. Everything, the grass was always greener on the other side, and we can all look back at nostalgia and all the rest of it. But life moves on. Life moves on, and as does this podcast, because we've now been recording for 58 minutes, believe it or not, and we could probably talk and chat shit all night. But I'm going to call it there, time out, and say thank you, Dean, for coming along and supporting the channel by contributing. Same for you, Mason. I really appreciate you turning up. Shame your dad hasn't got the same level of commitment, but that's just it. So all that's left to say at the end of all of this is to anyone viewing this, thanks very much for watching the video. I hope it was okay and you enjoyed it. Please feel free to add your comments. Be interesting to hear anyone else's views on coming to White Hart Lane for the first time, or how you feel about the stadium now, or if you're indeed in a foreign country that has a far better atmosphere, and that'd be good to know those kind of stories as well. Video will be out on Wednesday. It's also available on audio platforms, so please feel free to listen there if you'd rather listen whilst walking the dog or in the car. That's all good. You can't escape us. We are trying to get everywhere. But once again, thanks very much to the boys. Thanks very much for listening or watching, and we'll see you all again on the next one. Up the Spurs.
Up the Spurs.